say definitively that religions are all bullshit.
Welcome to Brainstorm.
We have the explicit tag for a reason.
This is a base level argument to a higher level morality.
I get paid to science?
To science as much as one can science.
What the hell was my point?
Trigger warning. The Brainstorm podcast will criticize your most cherished beliefs. We attack nonsense in all its forms and discuss difficult subjects. If you peddle pseudoscience, supernatural woo, or religious dogma, then this is not your safe place. This is the home of hardcore skepticism.
To those listening live or to our patrons, welcome back. For those listening weekly, welcome to the Shift to Reason Radio, the Brainstorm production that tries to educate and inform. We'll take current events and important skeptical topics and try to analyze them critically. Remember, we're live on Spreaker.com every second Friday, and today is April 28th, 2017. I'm still joined by Destin.
Hey.
Angela.
Hi.
And Renee and Leo are downstairs.
Hi. Hey.
Hi.
Que pasa?
And the always amazing Dave.
That's racist.
I can't make my voice go as low as Leo.
No, he speaks Mexican. Oh, that's racist. He's a Mexican that speaks Spanish. I'm sorry.
Jeez, man.
He is Mexican.
He is Mexican. He's from Mexico. That makes him Mexican.
Yeah. Era mexicano.
Hey, ándale.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess before we get into our other stories, we can talk a little bit about this this ruling in ruling by a judge in a Saskatchewan court.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I kind of want to only touch on it briefly because tomorrow,
Next time.
next time, we're going to have, we're hopefully going to have David Richards come in and discuss this with us.
Yes.
But essentially, a Saskatchewan judge ruled last week that Catholic schools would no longer receive funding for non-Catholic schools or students to attend them.
They're still a public school.
Because the public pays for them.
Yeah, that makes it public.
Let's look.
So a judge cited a violation of equality rights regarding religion neutrality by funding non-minority faith students who attend Catholic schools. So I guess just for a bit of background, here, I'll let you sneak in here first.
You totally crawl under the table. Interlude. Dave needs to compose a song for that.
In Canada, we have, in not all provinces, but in many provinces, we have a two-school system, the public system and the Catholic system, which Gumby already alluded to is still paid by public dollars.
I think it's only 3 provinces now.
It's, yeah. I don't know the entire history of it, but in 1867, Section 93 of the Constitution Act set out denominational rights. And I went to the website oneschoolsystem.org, and it says, it should be noted that Quebec and Newfoundland separately eliminated constitutionally protected denominational schools in the 1990s. The governments of these provinces first obtained constitutional amendments rescinding denominational school rights through the bilateral constitutional amendment mechanism specified in Section 43 of the Constitution Act of 1982.
So the funny thing about that is, guess which province originated the Catholic system? Quebec.
Yeah.
And they don't even fucking have it anymore.
But we do.
But originally, wasn't it, this is my understanding, I might be totally wrong here, but I think it was to do with other provinces have to allow Catholic schools to not discriminate against Quebec people so that you could have
That is my understanding.
Well, like in Quebec, they had no problem. Like, yeah, here we're obviously going to have Catholic schools, but if they go to a different province, those provinces have to allow, kind of for equal treatment, so that they don't they're not forced to go to Anglican schools or.
Well, here's the thing: if they're secular, they're equal.
So anyway,
GFY. Sorry, I was nice for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I imagine it was really your head was going to explode anytime. So Quebec, Newfoundland, two of our most religious provinces don't have this anymore. Manitoba eliminated denominational schools unilaterally in 1890. They were not protected to the same degree as those in other provinces, but they just decided they didn't want it anymore.
And Manitoba has 36 million Mormons. Or not Mormons, Mennonites.
But
Mennonites.
they also...
But they don't want to go to
36
Catholic school,
million.
right?
They also don't force their Mennonite people
million?
Yes, that's
to
how many
go to
people live in the whole
school past
country.
grade
There's
9.
that many in Manitoba.
That's how many Mennonites live in Manitoba.
Yeah, 36 million.
I'm sorry we talked over you because Gumby's number was fucked up.
That's true. It's a true number.
They also don't make Mennonite kids go to school after grade 9.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because that's just part of the... Yeah, that was one of the conditions of the Mennonites coming to Manitoba/Canada.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Don't need no more of that fancy book learning.
We want our own fucking schools.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
give us, like they said, yeah, here, have a bunch of land. Because they wanted to steal all the land away from the First Nations people.
And you had to give it to somebody.
So we have to give it away to somebody.
Let the Mennonites do it.
What?
Yeah.
Sometimes the history of our country is very strange.
And 1875 is when my ancestors came to Manitoba. And they had a shit ton of land. And, they were the kind of people that were like, well, I don't want to bother you. I want to quietly practice my religion and work the shit out of this land and grow a bunch of food for my large family.
Because we like to eat and not
And
die.
then it turned out eventually they had to interact with the rest of outside society.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually.
That must have been a bitch.
And now they've turned
It's the
into a
worst.
mega producing company.
And some mafia,
Yeah.
apparently.
That's the worst. When you want to just tend your farm and suddenly you have to interact with society.
Fucking people. That's all I can
Yeah.
say. Just dealing with
God
other
damn it.
fucking people.
Anyway. So now
It's like it's coming out of the woodwork with all of us now.
that's right.
We're all so well
we were
behaved.
also well behaved for an hour and a
That
half.
damn Mennonite food is so
Oh,
good.
it's so good.
The pierogies and the sausage.
That Tabor corn.
Yes.
I like to drink. I'm a fan of the booze.
Wait, that's the wrong point.
Did somebody say shawarma?
I said schmontvat,
Oh,
which is like
schmontvat.
white gravy.
Yeah, I love
Gravy.
booze. Scotch. I love Scotch.
You love boobs?
Booze and boobs. Last time I was in Manitoba for an extended period of time was actually in Morden and Winkler, which is the most concentrated area of. Think of
Mennonitism.
yes,
That's
Nice.
their
for,
mecca.
but for how concentrated it is, think of in the original Ghostbusters, the containment thing for all the ghosts. That's Winkler and Morden.
That's where the good sausage
But
comes from, man.
different from that is they keep fucking in there and they just keep
Yeah.
making more of them.
Well, they were
Your
worried that
neighbors
they
live too
eventually the
fucking far
containment
away.
would
What
explode.
else are you going to do on a cold night?
So there's no booze
Make more
there.
babies. No.
Both towns, no alcohol.
No.
There's wine and beer. Right, a little bit, not a lot, and
no hard spirits.
Right, and you damn
right.
well better not try to
Only
get it
the
after
spirit
like
of Jesus.
9 or 10 p.m. because that's not happening. The hotel we stayed at was a tiny little hotel, and the food was fucking phenomenal. And I'm like, it's just a one-off
Damn right.
that this food is so good. So we went to Jenny K's in Morden, and it was the best food I've ever. No, it wasn't Jenny K's. Jenny K's in Estevan. Anyway, there's this restaurant, and
You'll never find it. He doesn't know the name.
He's
but
making
everything
shit up.
was everything was
This is fucking-
so good and fresh because everything just came from there.
Yeah, it was
right?
local. It
Yeah.
was
And that
locally
doesn't
grown.
make food better. It was just so good.
Was it organic?
Fresh.
The Mennonites
All
fucking
food's
they
organic. Fuck off.
fucking invented the locavore thing.
But I think the Mennonites could actually be the ultimate hipsters if they try to just make a couple of little changes.
Also, what do you think they need to do?
I don't know. Have a better taste in music or something. I don't know.
Well,
start liking their music ironically.
Well, all of their stuff would have to become cool first, and then they would have to have liked it before that.
Yeah, that's
well,
right.
That they probably liked Mennonite food before Mennonite food was cool.
Nothing that Mennonites like is going to ever be cool.
If you go to the Mennonite Heritage Village in Steinbach and you have their Sunday buffet, yeah, you'll have a similar experience to what you had at that restaurant.
It's like a foodgasm.
It is.
Really.
It's full on foodgasm.
Like think of like the best Ukrainian food you've ever had at a friend's house. Like everybody here has Ukrainian friends that have.
We're in for Saskatchewan, yeah.
Multiply how good that food was by like 50, and make it less filling, so you can eat more of it.
And this is why you can't be mad at me for missing the last podcast, because I was face deep in Easter bread.
Oh.
And it was amazing. It was
what were we talking about?
What's Easter bread?
Easter bread is
separate schools.
It's also called.
That's where we were.
I want to hear about the Easter bread.
It's an Eastern European. Like it's also called Pascha, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a sweet bread that you slather icing on and put sprinkles on. Sometimes
it might as well be cake.
Yeah, it's
okay. It sounds like cake.
Not as sweet as cake, and more holdable. So you can put more shit on top.
Yeah.
Holdable.
And you bake it in
Word of the day.
If you walk around with a chunk of cake in your hand, that you're going to get looked at funny.
But Easter bread.
Angela is to Easter bread as Destin is to boobs.
Booze.
If you drink
there's
enough,
the title of the episode.
Boobs and Easter bread.
Boobs and Easter bread.
Oh,
Easter
geez.
boobs.
Easter boobs.
Oh, yes.
That's on topic now.
It feels so good to get that shit out of the system.
All right.
My mother-in-law's Easter bread totally looked like boobs this year.
Nice. Where was I?
I hope Carlos listens to the
We were
second part of
talking
this
about
episode.
we were talking about the school board and the court case and how the separate school system came into being. And
Right. Yeah, fact-based commentary on social structures and society. Yes, that's what we do.
That doesn't sound like us. Yeah.
no.
So now there's a ruling in place that can change the way that Canadians have to organize their school systems. This ruling essentially says that you can't have non-Catholic students in a Catholic school and still get funding for them. So there's now some push for a single school system in Saskatchewan. And it's interesting because this whole thing started with just a lawsuit where a public school in Theodore, Sask shut down because enrollment wasn't high enough. Mm-hmm. So a bunch of parents got together and they petitioned the government to get a Catholic school put in. And so then all the kids that were supposed to go to the nearby Good Spirit school system, public school, instead went to this Theodore Sask Catholic school. Mm-hmm. So the Good Spirit school system decided to file a legal complaint saying, hey, this can't be the way it is. They're supposed to be coming to public school.
Yeah.
And apparently only a third of the kids going to the Catholic school were Catholic.
Well, of course.
So you've got the Catholic system taking like 2/3 of the money that could be going to the public system in these two regions anyway.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because now we're going to have this what seems like a public debate about whether or not we even need a Catholic school system anymore.
No, yeah, go.
Well, I mean, for us, the debate is over.
But it seems like this is a very clever way, and I don't want to say what or speculate on what the judges are thinking, but it seems like a very clever way of changing the Constitution without actually amending it.
Right.
Because you have like the charter, like the equality clause, and then you have the kind of this old clause about the Catholic or the denominational schools.
Yeah.
And this equality clause can kind of override that, so they don't actually need to go back and change that to invalidate it.
Yeah.
So it seems like they found a way to
work around.
like
A good
to work around it,
workaround,
because
yeah.
constitutional amendments are pretty much impossible to get. But if you can get the court to just say, "Oh no, see that thing is invalid now because it violates rights,
Right.
and rights trump everything else."
Yeah.
So
And I heard somebody argue this week that it was the government's fault, basically, that it came to this.
Right.
That the provincial government is up in arms now because this decision has been made, but it didn't have to be up to the courts.
Right.
It didn't.
They could have made a change way before that, just
Exactly.
because. Yeah.
But it was, what was it, a 10-year? It was a long legal battle.
Yeah, it started in 2005. Was
So,
the
that's
legal
12
battle.
years.
Well, the
Yeah.
provincial government should be happy if this goes through, because it's going to cut costs and save money.
Interestingly enough,
Huh.
they didn't say that.
Wow.
They said they're not going to abide by this ruling.
Well, they say that about a lot of things, and what they come up with some really bullshit excuses. I was having this conversation earlier today. They're not just coming right out and saying, "Well, this hurts our base,
Right.
our voter base. This is contrary to what they want." If they were to be, my husband said that if they were to be more open about that, instead of giving bullshit responses to these issues, it would, I think, be slightly more admirable than if they were just to continue to lie.
Well, sure. The people that voted us in don't want this.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
how hard is that to say?
The interesting thing, though, is that I think that fiscal conservatives can get on board with this.
Of course they can.
Because it just makes more sense financially.
Absolutely, yeah.
So unless they're attached to to it for a religious reason, then I can't see them.
Although that tends to be the case. You know, if you're a conservative, you're probably going to be
hand in hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it seems like if the government decides to disregard or disobey this ruling, the only thing that's going to do, send it up to the Supreme Court in a couple of years, and basically making it a nationwide ruling, like
Yes.
where and pretty much just making the situation even worse, because you can't really go against those rulings.
Although
Well, and that's what-
they still are in the case of the legislative prayer before assembly.
Well, and I think that's the way it goes, right? Look, the next step, what happens if you can't get your provincial government to agree with the provincial court, it goes to a federal judge.
Right.
And then if there's no agreement there, it goes to the Supreme Court of Canada.
Yep.
And if there's no agreement there, then it goes to the Queen. Or to, no, not the Queen. It used to go actually, the Lieutenant Governor.
Is that the
Governor General.
The Governor General. Thank you.
That's right.
They used to go to the Governor General if the Supreme Court couldn't.
But now
If-
now the Supreme Court has the last word.
Has the last
Like,
word, yeah.
Because
It
the
ends
Governor
at Supreme
General
Court.
is pretty
So-
much ceremonial.
Yeah,
as
So
far as
ultimately,
I know.
like,
Thanks, I
and
couldn't
I
remember his title
wondered
for a
this
sec.
with the legislative prayer thing. When the government of Saskatchewan just flat out refuses to adhere to a ruling
Well,
from the Supreme Court,
there was no ruling on that. So basically, the way it works, there was a ruling on a town. I can't pronounce that town in
Right.
Quebec.
Yeah.
So it was just a specific ruling, and it didn't apply to everybody, because if somebody were to bring a court case up, like it would be like ruled on very quickly.
Right.
But as long as it's not, so that quick case was only that town, you can't do that anymore. And so it's basically until they make a ruling that nobody can.
so the rule doesn't extrapolate further than that unless, like, That seems so blatantly full of shit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, but it's kind of part of the process because, as far as I understand it, that was not the Supreme Court that made that ruling. It was
They just upheld it, right?
It was a provincial court, and I don't think it was ever challenged in the Supreme Court.
I thought that the Supreme Court actually. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think it was just the Quebec court that said no, you can't do that anymore, and so I don't think they ever challenged it. They're like, okay, we understand. But once that precedent is set, now pretty much anywhere across Canada, if anybody brought it up, they would say, "Oh, see, Quebec ruled this way."
So now we just got to bring it up.
Yeah. So basically, that's
precedent.
Precedents, yeah.
And the same thing with the prayer in public schools. It's another one of those. There have been a couple of cases in other provinces, and so as soon as it's brought up, it gets ruled on pretty quickly based on precedent.
So maybe we just got to get a case brought up at some of this stuff.
So
that doesn't change the
And this
overall...
one is directly in a Saskatchewan court. So if the province wants to dispute this, then they have to take it further.
They would the province would have to take it to the Supreme Court, or to the federal court and
federal
then Supreme
court
Court.
and then Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So with these, with the two different school systems, how much does the administration redundancy actually cost the province? Do we know? Because I didn't have a chance to listen.
Well, that's something that we'll discuss in depth with David Richards next time.
We don't want to talk too much about this.
No, because...
But I think that the estimate is that it could save us up to at least $50 million.
But is that...
Really?
Yeah.
But is that with this ruling? Because this would basically only...
No, that's if we went to one school system.
Oh, okay. All right.
This ruling is only affecting the children that are going to school in Catholic schools, and the Catholic school is being paid the money for those students.
So now it's actually, I think that might... I'm not sure how that's all going to work, because now those schools aren't getting funding for those students, and now those children are going to all these children are going to have to be arranged for in other ways. This could be a very huge process to get figured out.
Logistically, the only way that makes sense is to eliminate the Catholic system altogether and to turn all of those schools into public schools.
That's what I would say.
Because that logistically, that's the only way you could do it. Because it's not like these schools are only at half capacity. Most of the schools in the province are at full capacity because other surrounding schools have already been shut down in small rural areas.
But there are extraneous costs with the extra system.
Sure, it's the administration.
Yeah, there's other costs too, because you're paying teachers for time when they're teaching religious content that could be spent teaching other content.
Yeah.
So there's cost savings in a very in a way like that.
A kid's going to spend 7 hours a day in class for 13 years or whatever. Right. Regardless, the amount of time spent on each student isn't going to change.
Legally, there's a number of hours that have to be spent.
Yeah,
school.
I'm not sure. I haven't compared the days per year that Catholic school system spends in class versus the time that they spend in public system.
I think legally it has to be the same though.
So they're just getting dumber.
Yeah,
so they just substitute teach other things instead of
instead of social studies, they'd have religious studies. Yeah. So the amount of teaching doesn't change. Yeah.
Except it does because they spend time on religious.
The amount,
sometimes
the
they're
amount of
indoctrinating you.
Well, the amount on pertinent subject teaching, let's say they'll have shorter math classes to fit in other things or something,
mass or whatever,
or something like that. They can, but the
overarching time is probably the same.
But there's more bullshit, less good content.
Ontario did it, and it saved them crazy high number of money. David Richards knows the number. I don't know the number. And he said, so if we pull down to Saskatchewan levels, we say we may match half of that, which would be $120 million or something. And then if you even go even further and say, okay, we won't even come close to half of that, then we'll save X number of dollars.
If you extrapolate based on population, it'd be 1/15
or whatever. They figured it out The one system, Sask, has these numbers. And actually, he did David Richards did an interview on John Gormley that... the hell is going on?
Renee's blowing his nose. He has a cold.
Jeez.
I'm not trying to argue against it. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm just trying to figure out how they arrive to their numbers. That's all.
Well, there is an awful lot of redundancy between having two school systems.
Sure, but it would almost all be administrative.
Maybe
because you have the same amount of schools either way.
Well, you can have bigger class size. Let's say if you have a smaller town that, for some reason, has 2 schools, the math teacher might be teaching 10 students in the Catholic school, and the math teacher might be teaching 10 students in the public school,
yeah.
and one teacher can easily teach 20 students.
Right.
So you could. In those cases, you could fire half the teachers in some of the smaller towns.
Coming from one of those towns, there's none of those towns left. all the kids in all the towns get bused to a town like 15 miles away. Well, and then they're overcrowded in a tiny school.
Apparently not, because Theodore, Saskatchewan has a Catholic school.
Well, that's
because they no longer have a public school.
That's the irony of this whole thing is that when they closed it, the Catholic bought the school in Theodore. That was the public school.
Right.
And then everyone wanted to go to that school because it was closer, because they were busing them out of town to the public one. Mm-hmm. That's what triggered this.
Yeah.
So in that respect, sending the kids to the local school would save them money.
Yeah.
Except the costs are higher because you have the other school open. But I get
it. Yeah, you're still doubling the costs in a sense. A double minus the cost of busing. Right?
Yeah.
So then if you only have the one school, then you only have the cost of busing. You don't have double minus.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's probably not that many situations like that in the province.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say exactly how much extra stuff there is like that.
And the only reason I'm saying I can't see the 50 million is it's hard to not be skeptical. Even though I'm on board with one school system,
right.
Obviously. But a group called One System, or whatever the group's called.
One System, Sask.
Yeah, has ulterior motives. So they want to say they're going to drain costs by the biggest margin they can think of for publicity, right? And I'm on board. I'm on board.
Wait. How do you mean they have ulterior motives?
Well, like I said, isn't an ulterior. That is their motive.
It's not ulterior.
No,
they're very plain about
what
they want. They want one system.
Yeah, sorry. They have motives for using the largest dollar.
They may have motivated reasoning at play,
or
I think
a bias,
one might say. Yeah.
Well, they cited that study that was done in Ontario.
Yeah.
And Dave said it was like 5 times what it would be here, and adjust your numbers accordingly.
Right, but what I'm saying is Ontario has 15 times the population.
Right, but I think the number that I think the amount that they saved was so high that we still end up with 120 million or so in savings if we just go by the numbers.
Yeah,
and then you take it down a notch to be more realistic.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, so we're saving 50 million. But, again, we'll have David on as soon as we can to get him to explain this
He'll clarify
better.
all this stuff for us.
Let's take a bit of an early break, and then we'll go into like religious nuttery and stuff.
Sure.
Some of our stories.
If you like what we're doing and want to help us keep the lights on, go become a patron at patreon.com/brainstorm podcast. You can hear the bonus half hour that we record every episode and get a shout out when you support the show. Become a patron for just $1 an episode at patreon.com/brainstorm podcast. Or you can support the show by ordering a t-shirt, mug or other gear from our store at caffeepress.ca/brainstorm podcast gear. If you can't afford to become a patron or buy gear, then why not give us a rating or write a review on iTunes or Stitcher? Every rating makes it easier for people to find us. Thanks for your support.
We are given one life, full of billions of small and large decisions. To be somebody, to change, to be kind, to give hope, to become a better person, and to leave a lasting impact on this planet. It is a decision to be made every single day while your heart is still beating. We've made our decision. Absence of clothing. Atheist and science-based apparel and merchandise, donating 50% of our profits to charity. Look good and feel good, without God. Check us out at absenceofclothing.com and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest for discount codes and other sweet swag.
Use the code BRAINSTORM at absenceofclothing.com and get 10% off.
Into I'm Dustin.
And I'm Wesley.
We host the Atheist Nomads podcast.
We're godless geeks who take a skeptical look at
politics, religion, science, technology, and history.
We also interview leaders in the atheist, skeptic, and humanist community.
Check us out at atheistnomads.com.
That's atheistnomads.com.
And then there were 4. We're back after the break, and we're down another human.
Dropping like flies over here.
So let's do one quick religious nuttery story.
Yes.
Cornerstone, this might be new to some of you. Scripture says that even our righteous deeds are as filthy rags to God. So even the good things that you do, even things like feeding the hungry and clothing the poor and taking in widows and orphans, as nice as those things are, if not done from the place of obedience to and a relationship with God, are completely worthless and disgusting to God. If you're not daily walking in a place of relationship to God, then the news that we have to bring you is that you're on your way to hell right now.
Oh boy, and if anybody was going to hell, it would be this lady.
Oh dear.
This is from latest.com, which isn't a site I'm familiar with, but it's reporting on a Mormon mommy blogger who urges her followers to join the White Baby Challenge and to combat black ghetto culture. A crazy Mormon mommy blogger is urging her followers to do the White Baby Challenge, which is to breed. She's just saying she's done her part. She's had 6 kids. And now you need to match or beat me. And here's a quote. She went on to say that white people can't restore our civilization with someone else's babies. And then she says, just as inner city Chicago used to be full of hardworking Christians, Poles, Germans, and Irish, but is now overrun with black ghetto culture, it seems Mormonism and Utah are the next target for cultural destruction. And what's worse, the Mormons themselves are welcoming it. So, yeah.
What?
Racist Mormon.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was still on the last thing.
Wow.
She apparently attacked James the Mormon, who is a rapper, who she accused of spreading ghetto culture and promoting violent inner city thug culture and its lack of traditional values. There's nothing good about this person. Like, she's really everything that there's a couple memes that she shared, and one is a bunch of little girls in white dresses, and it says the white race matters. And there's a meme she's got that says, "This is me not having any white guilt." Like, this is just seriously the worst human. Like, just the worst human.
I guess the only thing worse than a racist is a religious racist.
A religious racist,
but
who's
then again,
unapologetic.
But Mormons,
completely ambivalent.
I don't know why we keep being surprised that Mormons would say this, because wasn't it till like 1974 or something that's true, that black people couldn't be part of the Mormon church because they had no soul or something like that?
It used to say, yeah.
They only rescinded that because of the push of publicity.
Yeah, that's right, because it affected their income.
Yeah.
So to expect them to all of a sudden be not racist anymore would just kind of go counter to Mormonism, I think.
I kind of agree with you. The interesting thing here is that I think the Mormon church actually isn't saying one way or the other about her. Refused to comment on her beliefs is what the article says.
Right.
So that is in itself a comment.
Yeah, in a very real sense, it's saying we kind of don't want to dismiss what she's saying, but we don't want to agree with her either.
Oh my God.
So
terrible news.
Oy.
Wow.
This is just a fun article. This is just a fun person. She's just fun.
Yeah. 6 babies. Match me or beat me.
People should beat her.
With a stick, preferably.
No, just leave her alone. Don't give her the dignity of a response or a reaction.
White Mormons matter.
Exactly.
I don't think that's a good approach either.
So do you really want to beat her though?
No, not
if we
physically.
can't punch Nazis, we can't punch her.
Hey, that was a joke. It was a joke.
Yeah. No, the leave her alone and leave her in her corner thing. I don't, because she's saying have more kids and hate everybody else. That's really propagating to the point where she might be able to start her own Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah,
Baptist.
Yeah, the more attention she gets, actually, the worse off she is.
What I'm saying is she has 6 kids. And then she raises them all to have as many kids as she can and to hate all these other people.
So you're saying sterilize them?
No, I
Sounds like it. We're sterilizing them now.
You can't have it both ways.
Nope.
I'm just saying don't ignore her. Get in her face.
Maybe there's a couple of atheists.
Oh, you're saying
in there.
argue with discourse.
Me?
Discourse and the exchange of ideas, in a sense?
No, there's no exchange of ideas, though.
Just tell her that she's wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, but how does that actually do anything?
That doesn't change your mind at all. If you like, you're wrong. Somebody's going to be like, fuck you, I'm right.
I feel better when I tell somebody they're wrong.
Yeah, you feel better.
This is for yourself. This isn't for them.
That's selfish to just be like, you're wrong. Because it doesn't do anything. It doesn't change their mind.
Explaining doesn't change their mind generally either.
Nothing will change
doesn't,
this person's
but if you
mind at
ask
all.
them questions, pointed questions, and challenge them, or I don't know, open their eyes to the fact that introduce them to people that are not what they. I don't know.
I think you're headed in the right direction.
Introduce them to people that are not. That
don't
group.
fit their stereotypical.
Exactly. Thank you.
Ideas.
Yes. And then they'll be like, wait a minute. I grew up in a hole. I'm so wrong.
I don't really have a whole lot of hope for this person.
Me neither.
But I think that through reasoned discourse, perhaps we could reach an audience.
So let's think back to our guest. Like, what would Carlos do? Like.
What would Carlos do? He would probably ask her some questions.
Yes.
And talk to her about why do you think this?
There's a difference.
And that seems reasonable.
Yes,
somehow.
Yes, that's reasonable. There's a difference, though, because we want to change people. He wants to just
understand
them and study. Two different
He would
objectives.
study her from an academic perspective.
Two different objectives, so they're not really.
And we beat them with a stick until they change.
And we beat them until with a stick. That's right. To deter any of the other stupid Mormons from being stupid.
Whoa.
I think so places where they're going to have religious schools regardless.
Too harsh?
Why can't we instill?
It's fine.
You can have your religious class, sure, but you also have to have a
humanist class?
No, not even. Good idea, though. Yes.
Ethics.
Those should happen.
Ethics.
Logic and critical thinking. If you have those.
I'm slowly becoming unsure that would do anything. But
that is the antithesis of religious dogma, though.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Right. But if it's publicly funded.
And they don't have religious schools, they just would stay at home.
Yeah.
If you're presenting anything without ascribing to a particular opinion about those things, if you're serving up facts, serving up historical events, saying this is what happened, and not necessarily saying this is really bad what happened. And you're just saying, hey, guys, this is what happened. These are the different religions, and this is how they compare. Yeah. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
No. There's nothing wrong with religious classes. Religious class, like taking Religion 101 or 102 or 200 or any of those classes at the university level is fantastic. They should have that at the high school level, at the junior high level.
Some kind of academic look at
so they can understand there are other religions.
It's called.
Yep.
Religious studies.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, a lot of people that argue for the separate school system believe very strongly that there's only values and morals to be taught within the religion, within the context of a religion.
I wonder if the Catholic people would agree with the Mormon person teaching her values to children, as it were.
It's pretty. No,
I bet it wouldn't go the other way at all.
Yeah,
because I don't think Mormons agree with Catholics on most things.
Yeah.
So they definitely wouldn't agree with Catholics being able to teach their own, not only like philosophies but morals.
It's like the argument always thrown back at people against taking prayer to school and stuff is, well, you wouldn't want your son in a Muslim school,
right,
learning all this Muslim stuff when you're a Christian, right?
It's the exact same stuff.
And, well, to a point,
yeah, to a point.
But yeah, and I mean that's a simple argument, but at the same time, it is true. It's like
Marvel versus DC.
Just because you're the dominant system doesn't mean that everybody else should have to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why with public education, that's the reason why we have public education, is so you have a basis, so everybody gets the same opportunity and the same ability to learn. And as soon as you have a separate school system, or as soon as you're allowed to teach your own dogmatic fuck.
Somebody's getting exasperated.
It's been a long day.
Yes. I still haven't had my first cup of coffee.
Oh, wow. It's late.
There's coffee downstairs.
Jesus, man. You may be too late for your first cup of coffee.
I got to work a half hour early, and I usually have a cup of coffee, get prepped for the day, get some paperwork in order, stuff like that. I didn't get to stop running until 4.
Yeesh.
And then I'm like, I should eat food. So I quickly ate like as much of my lunch as I could fork down in like a minute, and then ran more, and then I went and met you guys.
Perfect.
That's my name.
There we
Selling
go.
those cars, though.
Selling them cars.
Cars. All right, so anyway, I think we had enough of the racist mommy blogger. Let's do some woo.
Do some woo. That sounds like a drug of some sort.
Woo.
No?
I'm not a scientist, but if I can tell you your science sucks, then your science really sucks.
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit. Fuck.
All right. The whole time while that was playing, I was thinking, the first thing I'm going to say is drugs are awesome. Well, maybe I shouldn't have that. All right, Leo, what do you got?
Not all drugs.
All right.
Not all drugs.
So we have a story about Alex Jones, #douchebag.
Yeah.
Douches are useful.
So I don't really follow this guy, but apparently he got divorced. I don't know when. But I'm not surprised. I think
no.
Anybody who's married to that guy should divorce him. But yeah,
well,
so
he's always been kind of divorced from reality. So
yeah,
that deserves a drum roll.
And now he's divorced from his wife. But so apparently they had this custody battle, which I think just a couple of days ago got resolved. But so he wanted custody of the kids, you know the way it always works. And his wife was accusing him of being unstable, which came as a shocker. What? But yeah, so apparently he was unstable, air quotes, and he defended himself by saying like no, like you don't bring the show into this. It's in my show I play a character. I don't actually mean what I say, kind of. And then he had this excellent quote that I thought was just great. So he's talking about the whole thing of his show, and he's like, but the media is so deceptive. They'll take that clip where I said I'm not real, or the quote, and then they'll say I wasn't real. So I that damn media.
Damn media.
Like, and this is actually like he quotes the exact same thing. Say I'm not real because that's what I said, and then say I wasn't real. So, but so he lost the custody thing.
Right.
So
So
Yay.
the jury was convinced that he was real.
Yes.
Full of shit, but real. Yeah.
Well, and obviously,
Really crazy.
Alex Jones has never bastardized anything in media.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so today I was actually looking at some of this stuff, and my girlfriend had never seen Alex Jones.
Oh, it's all right.
It's
And
so entertaining.
I contaminated her.
Uh-oh.
I was like, "Oh, we should watch some of this stuff. You'll love it."
She was pure before.
Yep.
No.
No.
Now she's not.
You deflowered her.
All her innocence is gone. But yeah, so she couldn't believe that level of bullshit existed. And to me, every time I see some of that, I was like, I did not think that was possible. So for some reason, my brain still does not comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
It is tough, isn't it, to wrap your head right around the level of crazy.
Yeah,
Well, I don't like using the word crazy anymore, but the level of just detachment from reality.
just completely off the rocker,
Unhinged.
But we were watching the video where he did it in a bunch of occasions, but where he goes into what Hillary Clinton really is. Like
She's a
we're
Satanist.
No, she's a literal demon.
No. This is that one. But this is the one where he says that she's a reptilian extraterrestrial demon.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
That was that's
Oh, wow.
that's who wants to hurt and kill your children.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
She wants to kill your children.
And then she goes on to say that she is actually not human. Like that face is plastic rubber.
Later on, he says things like that she actually has killed children. Like herself, not through a surrogate, not through some assassin.
Probably in the basement of that pizza place.
She totally just killed children.
Yeah.
Quick thing. Demons. They're from a different dimension or a different plane, right?
Okay.
Supposedly.
Oh, sure.
So doesn't that arbitrarily make them extraterrestrial?
Yes, I would think that does,
point of clarification.
I'm going to have a fuzzy peach.
Eat it.
Yeah, that's right. So he lost the custody dispute.
He did.
That peach looks like it was uncut, too.
Yeah.
It was definitely uncut.
Pure.
Salty.
If that peach was salty, then something is wrong with
I said
that
the
bag.
peach was uncut. Unmutilated, but masticated.
And then sometimes you just have to get in there and do stuff.
And we're back.
There's a job to be done.
Do the alphabet with your tongue.
Salty or sweet. The alphabet.
A.
Uppercase or lowercase.
And then when you find one she likes, you keep doing that one.
Hold the button down on the keyboard.
Yeah. Careful, you don't want to get replaced. You don't want to be like, they took my job.
You don't want your job taken.
Yeah, so that was Alex Jones.
This is Brainstorm. This is this podcast.
That works right in with Alex Jones. Really.
All right. Angela, you also have a story.
Oh, yeah, I totally do. I wanted to add, the Alex Jones story was interesting because parental alienation syndrome is a thing. It's an interesting conversation for like a sexism, egalitarian feminism kind of a thing, because the definition of parental alienation it refers to a disorder in which a child on an ongoing basis belittles and insults one parent without justification due to a combination of the factors, including indoctrination by the other parent.
Interesting.
So in a blended family situation, the mother says to the children, you don't have to listen to your dad. You don't have to adhere to the rules that are in that house. Or it can be more subtle than that. You know, I'll do that for you. I'll do that for you. Don't talk to dad about this. Don't tell your dad. Don't tell your mom. Vice versa.
I can't even comprehend that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's
as a reality. I mean,
I guess I may be partially guilty of something like that because Sarah believes in things that I don't believe in.
Yeah.
So when
she believes in things.
Well, no, she believes in some things that aren't necessarily factual.
Yeah.
And my son would say things like, well, do I have to follow this rule at your house? And I'd be like, well, no, not at my house. But I never said, don't follow the rules at your mother's house. I always said, no, I don't think that's a thing that we need to apply here in our house.
And I don't think that that's overstepping in any way. But I know, like, from personal experience, I have suspicions that it occurs in our situation. I know of other and the other thing too is this concept, this syndrome is controversial. There was a woman in Australia who lost custody of her children because she was poisoning the children against their father.
Right.
And she full on lost custody. Now, in Alex Jones' situation, he still has joint custody, but the kids just don't live with them. They live with their mom. And she cited parental alienation syndrome because the kids were always having to do what daddy said.
Right.
Or
Yeah, it was something about like almost a cult-like mentality where he was the leader and they just followed and did what he was told. They were
which
told.
is super creepy. And there's been studies done, but it's not in the DSM.
Oh, okay.
It's not like there's no, and there's been people like there's not a lot of admissibility. Like it's kind of a gray area. So it's interesting, and I think like a lot of times I think a lot of men worry that it's happening to them by their ex-wives.
Right.
And vice versa. But I mean, I think it also happens in situations where the mother and the father aren't super civil with each other. Or even if they are, there's that undercurrent of discord. But yeah, that's what I
Interesting.
It's very interesting.
Sounds like the kind of thing that requires a pretty deep look.
Yeah. There's a Wikipedia page, but I mean, having...
Thank God.
Yeah.
I could be an expert in hours. Minutes.
In minutes.
Having existed in stepmom circles for a long time, there's a lot of discussion about that. A lot of discussion.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that it happens anecdotally. But anyways.
Sorry.
But
it appears to be raining.
Oh, is that what we're hearing? Oh, yeah. I could shut that window, I guess.
I was wondering. I thought I could hear the.
I don't think it's really affecting the show. It's fine.
It's nice.
Until we talked about it.
Well, this is a very sad topic we're talking about,
Yeah.
so the rain can fall.
The rain can fall.
But moving on to my topic.
Your topic.
According to the Australian Vaccination Skeptic Network,
that's a thing.
they have equated vaccinations with rape. And
Right.
They posted a picture on their site that was captioned and has a picture of a woman whose mouth is covered by a man and by a man's hand. And the caption says, forced penetration. Really, no big deal if it's just a vaccination needle and he's a doctor. Do you really need control over your own choices?
How does rape prevent measles? Does the body just have a natural way of shutting that down then afterwards?
Well, it's rape with a teeny tiny dick.
Oh, that's how you do it.
And he doesn't insert it into your vagina. It's into your arm.
Good, because I don't have a vagina. That would be very awkward.
Surprise! Yeah.
How'd that work?
Oh. Yep. Exactly.
Hey-oh. We need that button.
Yeah, that'd be great.
What's his name? Ed McMahon.
Ed McMahon. Yeah. Hey-oh.
But there was a lot of backlash from a lot of women's rights groups saying this is bullshit. But they actually doubled down on their criticism, saying
Of course
this
they did.
post isn't tasteless. It's honest. What truly is tasteless is our elected government trying to tell us that we have to investigate to vaccinate our children, even if we don't believe it is best for their health. So wrong.
Hey,
This kind of thing. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just thinking, fuck these people. Like,
Well,
seriously.
this reminded me of when people kind of unduly throw around Hitler things, like where they say, "Oh, you're just like Hitler," like where it's like, "Oh no, wait,"
But Hitler, no.
But this sounds kind of like one of those things.
At least Hitler instituted a vaccination policy.
But it's
continue.
No, my point was done.
I'm sorry, man. Sorry. Gumby did it, and I had to finish it off.
I just had two little words while he was breathing.
But Hitler.
I mean, you know what? Like, I can play it.
I thought for a second you were going to defend Hitler.
No. I can play a little bit of devil's advocate here, though, in saying that I do understand the idea of mandated things that you have to do in society that, do impede on choice. And while this in particular, isn't necessarily as nefarious as other things, I think the point is there is a
line to be drawn somewhere.
And there's a slippery slope there of like, well, you have to do this, you have to do that. Again, I'm not defending the fact that vaccinations are, a bad thing or they're even debatable necessarily.
Right.
But I do get the idea that people should have choice over their bodies.
Right. And we should have, when we encounter things where the government may be imposing a will onto a person's bodily autonomy, we definitely need to consider that very carefully.
Very carefully.
Yeah. I think the whole idea is decriticalizing the importance of awareness of rape and using it as a crappy advertising campaign.
I think that's much of the criticism that's come from feminist organizations and whatnot.
Yeah, like this is a stupid way to have that discussion.
But I think
I just put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with Dave. I mean, there is an underlying point of what can a government make you do?
Right.
Like I am all in favor of vaccines, but what can or should they make you do, and what shouldn't they make you do? Like, for example, if a government, like going back to the circumcision, like, should a government be able to tell you to get circumcised for any reason? But it's
should they be able to say that you can't?
Yeah, like
get your child circumcised.
So it's kind of a weird, this issue that what justifies a government to be able to make you, prevent you from doing something?
Well, here's something though. Everybody says it's their choice, right? So it's a government forcing you. They're not forcing you to do anything. They're making your child have a vaccination. They're not doing anything to you.
Well, to somebody.
But they're doing it to the child.
Yeah, but why should the parent have the choice on whether the kid gets vaccinated?
But it's about consent.
They're
it's
medically
about
responsible for that child. They make the medical decisions for that child because they're minors.
Legal guardians.
The thing is, with vaccines is the wrong thing to have this discussion over.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's lots of things where we can have this discussion, and it's we have to look at like the societal good versus the societal bad versus the individual good versus the individual bad.
Let's flip that over to something.
But vaccines is good for the individual and good for society. And anybody who doesn't do it is actually hurting the people around them, right? And in a sense, any parent who doesn't vaccinate their kid could potentially be hurting their kid. So I think the vaccines is the wrong.
Yeah, especially since if you made that a choice, then the government is basically allowing people's ignorance to have sway on what is good or bad for their kid, because it's not the government deciding the vaccines are necessary. There wasn't like, oh, I am government, you must have vaccines.
I mean, it's society.
It is our society. It is the Western medical ideal of preventative medicine.
Well, the whole concept of having a society or like sort of an equal society is that you give up certain freedoms. Like, so, you're not allowed to piss on the side of the street, downtown.
Right.
Because, we've kind of decided that that's not appropriate.
Yeah, you give up the smaller,
that doesn't fit into
the
freedoms of.
Yeah. And so that's kind of, where is that line for every single thing that you can or can't do?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when do we decide that you you can't do this or that you have to do this.
Yeah.
So when parents are responsible and have the right to decide on medical treatment for their kids, right? We all see that as good, but we're also people that understand that medicine works, and we're going to do what's best for the kid medically.
Yeah.
So if we agree that the parents have the right of deciding treatment for their kids, then we can't put them in jail for deciding that fucking a diet of peanuts is gonna cure their leprosy or whatever.
Well,
right.
Except we can, because these things don't have specific, like each treatment or each issue has its own examination. We don't say all treatments are acceptable, and all decisions by parents are acceptable.
Right. At that point, you're still taking the decision away from the parents. So
right.
So it's an illusion of an option for the parents to decide the treatment. You're not actually giving them the option, because if they pick the wrong one and the kid dies, they're going to jail. Right. Or if their kid gets sick, they're going to jail. So you're still the government or the society is still determining that treatment.
Yeah.
They're just punishing the parents if they don't go with that treatment. So there is no choice.
Right.
It's just an illusion of a choice.
Yep.
So why have the illusion?
Also, like with medical professionals who work in a hospital, and I mean, there's another issue there with, are we forcing them to get the flu shot because they're working with immunosuppressed people?
Yeah.
That I mean, the people that are going to die of the flu are going to hospitals.
I've had this argument so many times with people in Weyburn. Yes.
And there's an alarming number of people that refuse those vaccinations.
Yeah.
There's people that have to go through a biologic treatment for colitis and Crohn's disease, and they have to get regular testing because the medication they're taking can slightly increase the risk of having certain types of cancer and other issues, and they have to get the pneumonia vaccine, and they have to get the hepatitis vaccines,
right.
and they have to make sure that and they all have to see if they're exposed to TB.
I think if you work in the medical field, you should be vaccinated for everything you could be vaccinated against.
Yeah.
And that should be an understanding. If you want to work in this field, these are your requirements. When I worked in the oil field, I had to have, especially when I was working at certain sites, the number of courses and the amount of training and stuff I had to have was huge. And drug testing, we're lucky here that all you have to do is piss in a cup. There are places that will take blood samples.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice. They're sticking you with a needle.
It's interesting because quite often, like, we're talking about libertarian type ideas, right? And quite often the discussion devolves to this idea of who gets to decide. And I think that in many ways our societal values and our societal structure has already decided these things. Yes. And these are the things that we've landed on. And mandatory vaccinations is something that we've kind of agreed is a deal.
Yeah, as long as the vaccine isn't going to kill the kid, if there's chances of medical complications because of immunodeficiencies or anything like that,
which hopefully one would know ahead of time,
then no.
Yeah.
If not, then yes.
Well, I think that the whole libertarian idea is, I think libertarians are kind of full of shit a little bit, because that's just not how society works.
Right.
Yeah, they want the cake and they want to eat it.
Yeah.
And because society has determined certain basic rules everywhere you go, like even what Carlos was talking about, there are different cultures have different rules, but we punish people who don't follow the rules. And
even if they aren't explicitly laid down in law, society has a structure to it that we've all implicitly agreed to.
Yeah.
It has a natural way of shutting that stuff down.
Whether we punish them by them getting sick or we shun them.
Well, right. Every crime, quote, has its own crime, or its own punishment. So certain things like public indecency, like pissing on the side of this, legislative building or something.
Wearing white after Labor Day.
Yeah. And
right.
Or if you're
socks and sandals.
Or if you're just a douche at a party, people are gonna treat you differently.
Socks and sandals.
Yep,
did you
that's
see
right.
Did you see those socks? You could buy socks that look like socks in sandals.
Why
They're
would you
just socks.
ever buy those?
That would be awesome. Because they're meta, right? You can wear those in sandals. Double down. Sorry, I had to spin it back to some important stuff.
No, that's
here.
good.
She said socks and sandals. That threw me. I'm easily distracted.
Crimes.
Crimes.
Air quotes.
Crime. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
Gonna be your turn.
Sorry. I don't know if I deserve a turn.
You got 3 minutes.
Do I still have 3 minutes?
Yeah, 3 minutes.
All right, so U.S. court, since we're not doing a bumper, U.S. court to decide whether ghosts are real. Ed and Lorraine Warren. If anybody's familiar with Ed and Lorraine Warren? They were a married couple of fraudsters who made up, it says made up or collaborated to make up, but they straight up just made up a series of ghost stories in the 1970s and 80s and pretended that they actually happened.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Ed died in 2006, but Lorraine is still kicking. And this is where this gets funny. Like, these guys are responsible for the Amityville horror stuff.
Yeah. Why is she kicking?
She's still alive.
And
Still
kicking.
She's 50.
And kicking.
So these guys, they lived in New
He
England.
derailed me earlier. I had to do it
Yeah.
once to him at least.
Nice.
These guys lived in New England, and despite the obvious fakeness of the stories that they told, they enjoyed quite a bit of fame, and they ended up selling the rights for their stories to a publisher or writer. And there was a movie that came out called The Conjuring.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so successful that they made a second one based on another hoax of the Warrens investigated. And they found it to be 100% real, in which a poltergeist tortured a family in England.
No, they didn't.
Yeah. There are also a few other spin-offs. Yeah, no, they didn't. But things are getting really interesting because Gerald Brittle is suing Warner Brothers over the films, because he actually has the intellectual rights to the property of all of the Warren stories.
Oh.
Now, Warner Brothers is saying that it's not based on the Warrens, it's based on historic fact. So now, their lawyers have to prove that ghosts exist for it to be historic fact.
Good luck with that.
And then the American courts get to decide if that's actually proof that ghosts exist.
So I have a question.
Sure.
So if they do find that ghosts exist, are they going to magically start existing? Like, is the court that powerful that
I think
if they rule, then
I didn't
from
say
now
what
on
kind
we're
of
going to
court.
have
It
ghosts?
could be a court of wizards.
Actually, the interesting thing is, when they come back with the verdict that ghosts do in fact exist, we will then report on that story as though this court is a bunch of idiots.
But so
Yes.
And it seems like something that the U.S. would do.
So the interesting thing with the Warrens is they're responsible for a whole bunch of shit. Like, people know about the Amityville horror. They know about The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2.
Mm-hmm.
There's a court case called Stembovsky versus Ackley. And there was a house basically that went up for sale. And while this lady owned it, she found that it was haunted. Right?
Okay.
Members of her family reported the existence of numerous poltergeists, ghosts, and they reported this to Reader's Digest and to local newspapers on 3 different occasions.
Reader's Digest.
Whatever.
Pillar of journalism.
Like it would shake this one daughter's bed and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
they put the house up for sale, and they didn't list that it was haunted. So when this guy came to buy the house, he had found out the stories that it was haunted, which these guys, the Warrens, confirmed that it was haunted, and he managed to get out of the purchase of the house
based on
the fact that it wasn't actually. He wasn't told that it was haunted.
I see.
And then there was a trial of Arnie Kyan Johnson. also known as the Devil Made Me Do It case. It was the first case, the first court case in the United States where the defense sought to prove innocence based on the defendant's claim of demonic possession. The funny thing is, the first case of this, 1981, you'd think it would have been a lot earlier, right? And again...
The Satanic Panic, is that what we're attributing to this?
Something like that, yeah. After witnessing a number of increasing ominous occurrences involving David, the family, exhausted and terrified, decided to enlist the aid of self-described demonologists. So not just hauntings, now they're demonologists.
Right.
Ed and Lorraine Warren, noted for their investigation of the famed Amityville haunting, which they also made up.
Right.
In a last-ditch effort to cure David. The Glasgow family, along with the Warrens, then proceeded to have David exorcised by a number of Catholic priests. So they've been involved in a whole bunch of fucking stuff.
The power of Christ compel you. The power of Christ.
So it's all bullshit.
It's all bullshit.
It's all bullshit.
Just like that. But before we cut out, that there's that museum of scary shit. And there's that Raggedy Ann doll that's supposedly like super haunted and will kill you if you touch her or open her case.
Okay. Right.
I want to go there and touch everything.
Yeah, no shit.
I'd just be like,
none of this is real.
Yeah. I'm touching you. I'm touching you. I'm touching you. I'm touching you.
Yeah.
It'd be fucked up if you just
I'm not
die
touching
right
you.
away.
It would be fucked up.
Cardiac arrest.
Funny thing is, I wouldn't attribute it to a magic doll.
No. I'd be like, robotics.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. Gumby died at the same time as he did this thing.
He touched a thing.
Go figure. Anyway, all right. We've got listener feedback. Actually, we don't. There's
Surprise!
nothing to report.
We will silence. Next time.
That's our
Corey,
listener
start
feedback.
making that shit up.
Can you hear the rain? That's our listener.
That's our listener feedback. The rain. I know I fall behind on things quite a bit, but I'm working diligently to get our bonus content out. So we've got almost 50 patron-only posts on Patreon, including full-length ad-free episodes and including that have the music in them. I know people really like that. Individual snippets between live episodes. So far, I'm the only one who's done that. Everybody else is supposed to, but nobody's. That's fine.
Wait, I gotta talk to you more about that then.
Individual snippets of what?
Between episodes.
Nobody pays attention to what I say.
I do.
I know what you're talking about, but I was trying to ignore it because I haven't done it.
I do have to say though, this the bonus content you've been releasing, it's really cool because I haven't actually heard Raz on the show for a while, so glad you're releasing.
I just don't think I have anything to add in between.
We're not that far back.
I'm just being an asshole.
Yes, I know. So there's exclusive monthly content for $5 patrons, and there's the 30 minutes we record every 2 weeks after the live broadcast. You can access that and more by becoming a patron at patreon.com/brainstormpodcast. Plug your stuff. Anybody got any stuff?
I am still working on my podcast. It will get launched eventually. Just life's really busy.
Yep, I agree.
And I want to make sure I have at least 4 or 6 episodes under our belt so that I can keep releasing them consistently. So all of those of you who have signed on to listen to it, it will happen.
Cool. That's Positively Skeptical Podcast.
Yes.
Nice.
I'll plug my movie quick.
Do it.
There's a movie called Talent coming out. In June. It's a comedy.
Nice.
Hockey comedy.
Oh, cool.
Totally upper alley. No, and it's my first feature-length score. So
Nice.
It's going to be in local theaters here and hopefully other theaters. We'll see.
Awesome.
So
Let us know.
So
Let us know.
I'll keep you all posted.
Sweet.
There you go. Check it out. Prairie Cat Productions. Go check it out.
Definitely. And I've got episodes of the Hardcore Skeptic Examines coming out every week now. I have approximately 22 or 23 interviews on social justice that will be coming out. And then eventually I will come out with a commentary episode where I finally just address all the concerns in the best way I can. So That's the end of the episode. Let's hit that outro music. Check out the show notes on our website, brainstormblog.net. I am still behind, but I am now looking for some help to get them caught up. If you get in touch with me on Facebook, Twitter, or through the website, we can negotiate a pay, and I will fill you on what I need done while Leo throws his microphone around. I already mentioned the tons of patron exclusive content. So if you love the show and want more of us and want to help us do what we do, you can join our patrons: Will, Lisa, Rob, Aaron, Nathan, Daryl, Marissa, Janet, Stephanie, and Positively Skeptical by going to patreon.com/brainstormpodcast.
Give us money.
It will never cost you more than $3 a month if you do $1 an episode.
Please.
Make sure to join us every second week when we broadcast live on Spreaker.com/user/brainstormpodcast. Our next guest is Dr. Amy Tutor, aka the Skeptical OB, and she will be joining us via Skype to talk pregnancy woo and other myths around women's health. We may also have David Richards in studio with us to talk about the One System Sask campaign and why we should be getting rid of the Catholic school system in Saskatchewan. Thanks, Carlos, for joining us this time around. You can find out more about him and his work by looking on our show notes on thebrainstormpodcast.com and eventually brainstormblog.net. Thanks to Dave for our intro music. Thanks to Alex Capper-Murdoch for doing the voiceover for the intro and some of our ads. Thanks to Jason Camo for our outro music. You can find his stuff at aloststateofmind.com. All music was played either with permission or under the SOCAN license to play. For more information on SOCAN, you can check out the music license info on our website. For your cool Brainstorm gear, go to cafepress.ca/brainstormpodcastgear. If you have a shirt or hat or whatever, take a pic and send it our way. We'll put it up on the website. Thanks for listening, and remember, the truth matters.
This is an opinion-based podcast. Each person on the podcast is responsible for their own opinions, and those opinions don't necessarily reflect the views of the rest of the panel. Any guests or anyone associated with the people on the podcast, such as spouses, partners, children, other family members, friends, or employers. No one person speaks for the podcast with the possible exception of Corey, and he doesn't speak for anyone else on the show. The Brainstorm podcast does not represent the views of our sponsors.
We just wanted to say thanks to everyone who listens to us, shares the show, gives us a rating on iTunes or Stitcher, or supports us through Patreon and Gumroad. We don't have a lot of interaction sometimes with our listeners, but what we have had proves that we attract some of the best people around. Smart, kind, and cool. An audience truly worthy of the titles hardcore and woo-free. Thanks for helping us make the world a smarter place.